My name is Blessing. I'm a third year nursing student. So my topic is cleft lip and palate. So cleft lip basically is a failure of fusion in the upper lip, and cleft palate is a failure of fusion in the upper roof of the mouth. So cleft lip is actually, you can actually get diagnosed as an ultrasound while you're still in the stomach. That's true, in utero. While cleft palate is more visible after birth, just because it's in the upper roof of the mouth. So for someone who was born with, so you can either have a cleft lip or a cleft palate, and you can have both of them. So this is a perfect example of a child who has a cleft lip and a cleft palate. This is a cleft lip, and there's a connection through. So that's a cleft lip. That's a unilateral cleft lip and palate. So there are some risk factors with someone who has a cleft lip and palate. So teratogen exposure. So there's alcohol, smoking. It's more common in the indigenous community. It's obesity. It can be genetics. In Canada, actually, there are in every 10,000 live births, there are 15 kids who are born with a cleft lip and palate. But it's more common again in the third world countries, and here it's more common in the indigenous background. So for a child who has some social determinants of health like poverty, education. So if you don't have enough finances, or if you don't have enough money for your prenatal care, your prenatal vitamins, then again you're putting your child at risk for a cleft lip or cleft palate. So for some impact it has on a child is speech and language. Again, they have misaligned teeth. Someone who has a cleft lip will have a misaligned teeth, also missing front teeth. Again, causing unclear communications. For someone with dental issues, feeding and sucking, it can have hearing impairments, and it actually puts them at risk of more ear infections just because of the fluid overload. So I do have a game for you if you're interested in playing. So so you're gonna take a sip of water through this straw. So one outside, one inside. So this is just to mimic this is just to mimic someone who has feeding issues with cleft lip and palate. Yeah.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So for someone with that, so breastfeeding a kid who has a cleft lip and palate, you have to put them in an upright position, or you have to use specialized feeding bottles for them. So then again, if you think about it, it could cause malnutrition for a kid, like for a kid with cleft lip, just because the difficulty in feeding and sucking. So they're at risk of malnutrition, right? So the preferable time to have the surgery is in the first year of life. So for a cleft lip, the preferable time is in the first 3 to 6 months, and for a cleft palate, the preferable time is in the first 6 to 12 months. So that doesn't mean you can have it as an adult. It's just that it's more difficult as an adult, because in your first year of life, your bones are soft. It's easier to have the surgery, but in as an adult, your bones are fixed. Everything is all developed, and it's harder to have the surgery. So for someone who doesn't get a surgery as a child due to like finances or like various things, it could cause low self-esteem, right? So they could have like some physical issues with their face just due to the malformation, and that could go mental. So they could have like depression, anxiety, some social isolation due to the fact of the malformations in their face. So how do you support a mom whose child was just diagnosed with cleft lip and palate? You need to acknowledge their feelings, right? You need to tell them that everything's okay. This isn't the end of the world. Although this happened, there are like treatable ways for it. There are surgeries in which you can have that could treat this. So this is a perfect example for a child who just had the surgery. So this is it when it's this is the process of it being done, and this is the final outcome for a child who had a unilateral cleft lip and palate. Um, so this is also a perfect example for a cleft lip. So this is what a normal palate should look like. So this is someone with a cleft lip, a bilateral one, a unilateral cleft lip, and a bilateral cleft lip and and palate. So yeah, that's basically my story. This is Derek's journey. So this is basically a real life story of a child, Derek, who had bilateral cleft lip and cleft palate, and yeah, his process through having the surgeries, and how motivating stories and just how getting the surgeries can help. My plan for sure is to go into med surge. So I'm currently on 500 in Brandon, the floor 500 in med surge floor, and I love it there. So I think going into a floor like that, and also pediatrics, just being able to support children that are going through this, because I do know someone who actually went through having a cleft lip and palate, although the person did get the surgery. So it's just really nice just seeing the transformation from having a facial malformation, although it's not like the end of the world, and it just could cause like some self-esteem issues with someone who has this, and just the process in having it fixed and just seeing the bright smile on their face. So like it's more than a smile.